Hey, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Thursday the 21st. We've had easterlies for a few days now, and it looks like not a lot's going to change. The front's out to the west of the low pressure. We're making a little bit of progress towards us over the last couple of days, but now looking at that, they're going to be starting to head southeast towards Spain. So we're in this flow. The isobar's beginning to sort of pull together a little bit. Reasonable spacing at the moment, but the next 24 hours they're definitely bunching up, and it's getting windier, and you can see that on the picture for Friday. The low pressure drifting down towards Spain, but this is compressing here, and it's going to be quite breezy tomorrow. Pressure's fairly steady, 1012 over us, I think, for today. So not high pressure, but unstable enough to give us some soaring conditions. Not classic northeasterly Arctic air, more sort of European air. So a slight reduction in the visibility, really. Not crystal clear, that's for sure. TAFs, 0607 knots. So yeah, it'd probably be 7 to 10 knots on the ground for most of the day. Slight northeasterly, not quite as much north in it as yesterday. And becoming Cav okay sometime mid-morning, so it's improving as the morning goes on. No evidence of cumulus here, which is a surprise because other forecasts are certainly showing cumulus. Gatwick saying few at 4.5, and Heathrow scattered at 4.5. So definitely going to be cumulus around today. Upper winds 20 knots middle of the country, 15 to 20 knots here. So yeah, I think 20 knots of flying heights be reasonable. Pretty much from the east, I think. 090 is the general direction. Other forecasts I've seen show the same. SatPic shows some cloud out to the west of us, upper stuff. And that sort of is coming and going, but nothing really solid in terms of overcast. It's a sort of thin, milky layer, really, cutting the sun down a little bit. So temperature-wise, very similar to yesterday, 13, 14 degrees. Feel fairly warm, but there'll be a little bit of nip to the wind, that's for sure, if you stood out of the launch point. And dew points, well, they're currently around 5 and 6. They're saying 7 and 8 here. I think they'll, once the soaring starts midday-ish, they'll be back down to about 4 to 5. So reasonable temperature split, dew point 4, max temperature 13, 14. So you're going to see at least 4,000 feet, I think, above Lasham, 4.5 above sea level. And plugging the numbers into the soundings, this is the afternoon one locally to Lasham, says the same sort of thing, 4,000 feet. Above us with the temperature here. It'll depend on how far down the dew points go. If they're 7 degrees, then yeah, it'll be a bit less than 4,000 feet. 5 degrees, a bit more. The Larkhill soundings, a little bit more interesting to see actually what's going on. Quite a strong inversion in here, which is going to take about 10 degrees, 11 degrees to break. Break this here, and then once it gets going, if you get 14, 15 degrees, there's a little sort of inversion just there at about 4,500 feet. That's where you're going to get cumulus, but it's showing quite dry air in here, so I don't think we're going to get sort of 6/8 cumulus as Top Meteo are forecasting, perhaps a bit less, and depending on where the dew points are, depending on how much cumulus you'll actually get. Top Meteo are saying it's not going to get going till midday-ish. That's 10 o'clock UTC, 11 o'clock local, so 12 o'clock local time. It sort of should get going to 3,000 feet or beyond, and then by mid-afternoon, it's saying 15 to 1,600 meters in the Lasham area, 4,500 feet above sea level. and that should keep going. Yeah, probably keep going till sort of 5 o'clock-ish. I'd come with a couple of warnings. That fairly fresh easterly wind in this direction, you normally find that the air penetrates in a long way across London and up the M4 gap, so it can be iffy soaring in that sort of area. Certainly down on the coast, I don't think it's going to be great, but should be okay around here, and certainly out to the northwest, out towards the Cotswolds, should be quite reasonable. Cloud amounts, they're showing quite a bit more than I think we're actually going to get. They're showing sort of 4 to 6 eighths with areas of spread out as well. Not sure I'm seeing that on the inversion that's going to cause huge amounts of spread out, but on the ascents. But certainly a reasonable amount of cloud. I think few and scattered, certainly 2 to 3 eighths on the TAFs. I think it'll be about right. So it should be a nice day, get going, gone 12 o'clock. Good few hours soaring, and suggested distance. Let's go for standard class distance, which will be fit for most, I think, you know, out towards the Cotswolds, up towards Oxfordshire and Cambridgeshire area. So reasonable play area. You can see the wind arrows there. They're forecasting sort of fairly fresh easterly winds. And if you look at tomorrow, not a lot really, because I think we're also going to be dragging in a little bit of moist air and a weak front and possibly some rain at times tomorrow, judging by the BBC forecast. So weather-wise, fairly reasonable. Good soaring day on the ground. East northeasterly wind, flying heights easterly. Okay, looking at airspace wise, it is fairly quiet as it was yesterday. These are just something's going on over the coast down south of Bournemouth. Nothing to worry about here. In the local area around Lasham, very little cross-country sort of area. Not really a lot going on. The only thing of any relevance is number 21, which is up at Sywell, and it's just note having some aerobatics, and it gives the timings for that. So it's an air display and aerobatics around Sywell, and the timings for today are 10 to 10:20 UTC, which is at 11 to 11:20 local, and 1 o'clock to 1:20. And it just says there that suggests aircraft don't plan to recover into Sywell during those times. So it's just a notification, really, nothing of any real importance. And that's about it. In terms of airfield operation, yeah, we're on 09. We'll set up in the normal operation on the runway. Couple of jet movements, or one jet movement, one Navajo, PA31 forecast to be inbound about 11:15, supposed to leave Doncaster sometime after 10. And this afternoon, we've got a 737 departing at 15:10. Those are UTC, sorry, they're add an hour to those times. I've not quite moved my head forward with the clock change, so 16:10 local time for the jet movement. So 2 small areas of disruption, not as bad as yesterday. Shouldn't really cause too much of a problem. Okay, folks, so we'll see you out there. I think most of the gliders are in booked today and in use. So start unloading the hangar.